Population distribution. Population is the number of people living in a particular place. Population distribution is where people live. This can be on a global, regional, or local scale. Places with a lot of people usually have habitable environments. They are either wealthy and industrial like Europe, Japan, or Eastern USA, and poor with rapidly growing populations like India and Ethiopia. Places with few people are usually difficult to environments to live in, like Greenland. Large populations live in accessible areas with good resources. One of the main reasons for uneven population distribution is the availability of resources. Large populations are often found in areas that are easy to reach and have plenty of natural resources, like food, water, and materials for building. For example, river valleys are common places for people to live because they provide fresh water for drinking and farming, and they are often sheltered from strong winds. These areas tend to be flat, which makes building homes and roads much easier. Plus, rivers are important for transportation and trade, which helps cities grow. Another good example is lowland plains, which are flat areas with fertile soil that's perfect for growing crops. These areas can support large populations because the soil provides food for the people living there. Fertile land is one of the main reasons why ancient civilizations, like those in Egypt and Mesopotamia, grew along rivers. Natural resources play a huge role in population distribution. Areas that are rich in resources, such as coal, oil, or metals, can attract people because they offer jobs and materials for industries. For example, many towns and cities grew up around coal mines during the Industrial Revolution, as people moved to these areas in search of work. Coastal plains are another place where people tend to live in large numbers. These areas often have moderate climates, which means the weather is generally pleasant and not too extreme. Coastal areas also have access to the sea, which is important for trade, fishing, and travel. Ports and harbours allow goods and people to move easily between countries, which encourages the growth of cities. On the other hand, there are places where fewer people live because the conditions make it difficult. For example, mountainous areas with high altitudes are often sparsely populated. The air is thinner and colder at high altitudes, and it's harder to grow crops because of the steep slopes and poor soil. It's also more difficult to build homes and roads in these areas. Areas with extreme climates, such as very hot deserts or icy polar regions, are also difficult for people to live in. Deserts, like the Sahara, have very little water, and the temperatures can be extremely hot during the day and cold at night. The polar regions, such as Antarctica, are extremely cold and covered in ice, making it nearly impossible to grow food or build large settlements. That's why these areas have very few people living in them. In general, people tend to live in places that are comfortable and provide what they need to survive. Places with good resources, a moderate climate, flat land for building and farming, and easy access to other areas are more likely to have large populations. On the other hand, areas that lack resources, have extreme weather, or are difficult to reach, usually have much smaller populations. Understanding population distribution helps us see how humans interact with the environment and why certain places become important centers of life and activity.